The 2026 World Cup is over. Spain are the champions of the world, and the fallout from everything that happened across 6 weeks of this tournament has produced a number that nobody, not even the people who started the petition, thought was possible. 23,316,108 signatures. That is the final count on a petition calling for Argentina to be permanently banned from the World Cup. People from 170 countries, in under a week, blowing past the original target of 5 million 4 times over and coming within fewer than 1 million signatures of breaking the Guinness World Record for the most signed petition in human history. The record, for context, still belongs to the Jubilee 2000 campaign, launched in 1997 to call for the cancellation of unpayable debts owed by the world's poorest countries. 24,319,181 signatures. A global movement about international debt relief. It almost got beaten by a petition about a football team. And when Spain scored the winning goal in the 106th minute at MetLife Stadium, when Ferran Torres finished Nico Williams' cross and it was over, the petition organizers posted a final message on their page. FIFA ignored us, but Spain delivered. That sentence captures the entire mood of this moment better than any analysis could. So what exactly drove 23 million people to sign a petition demanding Argentina's exclusion from the sport's biggest competition? Why are Argentine players now facing disciplinary bans? And what does all of this tell us about where football's most celebrated tournament has arrived at the end of this extraordinary, chaotic, unforgettable 2026 campaign? Let's go through it all. Start with the petition itself, because understanding what it said and why it spread so fast matters before anything else. Launched during the 2026 World Cup, the petition accused FIFA and match referees of bias towards Argentina and their captain Lionel Messi. Its text read, "Why should the rest of the teams play in the tournament if the winner is known in advance? Exclude Argentina from the World Cup and give everyone a fair chance." The petition, titled Argentina Out, cited incidents ranging from political gestures to allegations of favorable officiating and player misconduct. It argued that FIFA had shown bias towards Argentina and said a ban was necessary to give other teams a fair chance. The signature count accelerated in waves. The first wave came after Argentina's quarterfinal victory over Egypt, when multiple refereeing controversies generated the kind of multi-platform outrage that drives petition signatories. The second, larger wave came after Argentina's semifinal, when players were photographed holding a Falkland Islands political banner following victory over England. The third and biggest wave came in the final days, as the full weight of tournament controversy compressed into a single week's news cycle. Organizers initially aimed for 5 million, but the final count made it one of history's most widely supported petitions. The record still belongs to the 1997 Jubilee 2000 movement, which called for the cancellation of unpayable debts owed by the world's poorest countries by the end of the year 2000. According to Guinness World Records, that petition gathered more than 24 million signatures. Argentina came within fewer than 1 million of it. Here's where things get interesting, because the petition didn't exist in isolation. It was a symptom of something that had been building since the very first week of this tournament. The accumulated grievances were specific and numerous. The Balogun red card suspension, where a direct phone call from outside football resulted in a sporting sanction being waived in the middle of the tournament. The Egypt quarterfinal, where a goal was disallowed for a foul detected 17 seconds earlier at the other end of the pitch. And Egypt's coach said on record that perhaps they wanted Messi to stay in the running. The Switzerland semifinal, where Remo Freuler described a penalty decision as incredible and completely wrong. The Norway quarterfinal, where a spider-cam cable appeared to deflect the ball to set up Bellingham's equalizer, with FIFA insisting its smart ball sensor showed no contact. The Deschamps comment after the France semifinal, wondering out loud whether the referee had the level required to officiate at that stage. None of those controversies individually would have generated 23 million signatures. Together, arriving in sequence week after week, they created a global sense that something was structurally wrong with this tournament, and that Argentina were at the center of it more than any other nation. The Falkland Islands banner was the most politically charged flashpoint. After beating England in the semifinal, Argentine players were photographed holding a banner reading, "Las Malvinas son Argentinas," the reference to the Falkland Islands territorial dispute, which led to a war between Argentina and the United Kingdom in 1982, in which over 900 people died, was immediately identified as a violation of FIFA's own Article 34.3 of their disciplinary regulations, which prohibits political messaging at football matches. The precedent cited universally was Alvaro Morata and Rodri at Euro 2024. Both Spanish players were banned for one competitive match after chanting Gibraltar es Spanish, following their victory over England in that final. One match each. The parallel was precise. Same kind of territorial political message, same opponent, England, same governing body responsible for enforcement. If UEFA banned Morata and Rodri, the argument ran, FIFA had an obligation to apply the same standard. FIFA investigated. The investigation remained open throughout the final. No Argentine players were suspended for Sunday's match. And then the final itself happened, and the post-match confrontation happened, and the player misconduct investigation was opened, and everything that had been building across 6 weeks arrived at once. FIFA has confirmed that Argentina will face an investigation regarding altercations with Spain players, with players like Nahuel Molina, Leandro Paredes, and Thiago Almada appearing to be involved, as well as assistant coach Roberto Ayala. FIFA's disciplinary rules allow a minimum 3-match suspension for violent conduct. A player found to have punched, kicked, elbowed, spat at, or deliberately struck an opponent could receive a similar ban. Think about what that means practically. Leandro Paredes, Nahuel Molina, Thiago Almada, and assistant coach Roberto Ayala are all being reviewed. Any finding of violent conduct carries a minimum 3-match ban. Those bans carry forward to Argentina's next competitive fixtures, which means Copa America and World Cup qualifying for 2030. Missing 3 competitive internationals is a genuine sporting punishment, with real consequences for real careers. But that's only part of the story, because the final itself produced its own contested officiating narrative that has generated Argentina's counter-reaction. Spain saw 2 goals chalked off during the final, from Nico Williams and Ferran Torres. Argentina's McAllister and Nicolas Tagliafico both escaped cards for fouls many felt warranted one. Argentina's own supporters launched a counter-petition, demanding the final be replayed due to what they described as rigged refereeing decisions. It has collected more than 80,000 signatures to date. That comparison in scale, 80,000 versus 23 million, tells its own story about the global mood. The history of post-World Cup final petitions demanding replays goes back to Qatar 2022, when French supporters launched the petition after the referee allowed Messi's extra-time goal, despite Argentine substitutes appearing on the pitch. That petition reached 200,000 signatures. Poland's referee Szymon Marciniak responded by holding up his phone at a press conference, showing French substitutes on the pitch when Mbappe scored. The 2022 petition generated heat for days and then faded. The 2026 petition generated 23 million signatures from 170 countries and nearly broke a world record. The difference in scale between those 2 moments is the measure of how much this tournament damaged football's institutional credibility compared to the one before it. Now, here's the part of this story that doesn't get talked about enough, because the petition and the bans and the investigations deserve to be examined honestly rather than used purely as confirmation of whichever narrative a viewer already holds. Argentina losing the final is not evidence that the tournament was rigged in their favor. If the fix had been in for Argentina, Spain would not have won. The tournament ended with a team that, by most objective measures, was the best across 6 weeks of competition lifting the trophy. Lamine Yamal's tournament was extraordinary. Spain's defensive record was the best in the competition. Their semifinal victory over France and their final victory over Argentina were both earned on merit. The petition's closing message, "FIFA ignored us, but Spain delivered," implicitly acknowledges this. Spain delivered because Spain were good enough to win. FIFA ignoring the petition, if that's how it's to be framed, didn't change the result. It just meant that the institutional accountability question people were raising went unanswered by the governing body, as it almost always does. But that framing misses the more serious point. The petition's target was never really about whether Argentina would win. It was about whether FIFA's governance framework, its disciplinary processes, its refereeing appointments, its response to institutional pressure, had been applied with integrity throughout the tournament. And on that question, 23 million people concluded that it had not. Some of those 23 million were motivated by anti-Argentina sentiment with no deeper analysis. Some were responding to tournament frustrations that had nothing specifically to do with Argentina. And some were responding to a genuine, documented pattern of governance failures. The Balogun intervention, the multiple disallowed goals affecting non-European teams, the political banner investigation that produced no action before the final, the post-match investigations that FIFA opened too late to provide any remedy for the teams already eliminated. All three of those groups signed the same petition, and their combined voices produced a number that almost broke a record set by a campaign for global debt relief. That, more than any specific decision or investigation, is the lasting image of the 2026 World Cup's governance story. FIFA has not responded formally to the petition. The organization said firmly that it rejects the allegations of bias. The disciplinary investigation into the post-final confrontation remains open. The banner investigation outcome has not been formally announced. The Balogun case is subject to a formal ethics complaint from Norway's Football Federation. None of those processes are quick. None will produce conclusions that satisfy everyone. And the tournament itself, despite every controversy, despite every disputed decision, produced football that this channel and millions of others covered with genuine engagement and genuine excitement. The football was real. The controversy was real. Both existed simultaneously for 6 weeks, and both will be part of how this tournament is remembered. What do you think? Do 23 million signatures represent a genuine reflection of how this World Cup was governed? Or was the petition amplified beyond its actual significance by the social media dynamics of a post-final news cycle? And should FIFA apply the Morata-Rodri Euro 2024 standard to the Falklands banner players? Or has that opportunity passed? Drop your thoughts in the comments. These conversations are what this channel exists for. Hit the like button if this breakdown gave you the full picture of what's happened in the days since MetLife. Subscribe if you want to follow every FIFA investigation update and every development from the post-tournament fallout.